Hello, mic check. Hello. The guest has arrived. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shivsa Markare, coordinator at Student Alumni Coordination Cell, COEP Technological University. It is my privilege to welcome our today's distinguished guest, Mr. Ramesh Raskar, sir, professor at MIT Media Lab. Mr. Bharat Gite, sir, president of the Alumni Association, COEP Tech. Professor Birud, vice chancellor of COEP Tech University. Mr. Narendra Kale, sir, and Mrs. C.V. Joshi, ma'am. I request all the delegates to come on the dais, please. Mr. Ramesh Raskar, sir, please. Bharat Gite, sir. Professor Birud, sir. To begin, I kindly request C.V. Joshi ma'am to felicitate Professor Ramesh Raskar, sir, with a bouquet. I also request Professor Birud, sir, to felicitate Narendra Kale, sir. Thank you, sir. It is an immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's session with a distinguished guest, someone who embodies the essence of innovation and cutting edge technology. We are fortunate to have with us Professor Ramesh Raskar, an alumni of COEP from the 1991 ENTC batch, whose contribution to technology have made a significant global impact. Professor Raskar is heading Camera Cultural Research Group at MIT Media Lab. He joined the Media Lab in 2008 from Mitsubishi Electrical Research Group Laboratories. Taking charge of this pioneering group, his research spans several critical domains including AI, health tech, imaging, and sustainability. With a focus on both physical, such as sensors and health tech, digital, such as privacy-aware machine learning, and global, such as autonomous mobility solutions. Over the years, Professor Raskar's work has earned him numerous prestigious awards, including the Lemelson Award in 2016, ACM SIGGRAPH Achievement Award in 2017, DARPA Young Faculty Award in 2009, and the Alfred P. Sloan Research Fellowship also in 2009. He was also recognized as one of the top young innovators under 35 by MIT Technological Review. His contribution have not only advanced science but also had a profound impact on society, particularly through his groundbreaking inventions such as iNetra, iSelfie, and femtophotography. In addition to his academic roles, Professor Raskar has worked on cutting-edge research projects at Google and Facebook, contributing to projects that shape the future of technology. Today, he will be speaking to us on the fascinating topic of AI and decentralized AI, hype versus hope. With AI rapidly transforming industries, we are in for an engaging discussion on what the future holds and how decentralized AI can potentially change the world in ways we have yet fully to grasp. Let's welcome Professor Ramesh Raskar to the stage with a huge round of applause. He was the youngest professor to be tenured at MIT, and that record has not yet been broken.
Namaskar. It's been 34 years since I graduated from ENTC. I think it disconnected. And in fact, Professor Joshi was one of my teachers. And it's great to see that you're going blazing guns and inspiring the next generation here. So let's give a big round of applause to Professor Joshi. I think back then you were teaching us, what subject was it? Sorry? Components and devices, yes. So you're doing ENTC and feels like feels like yesterday. And I'm sure there are many people in the audience who have crossed paths with in the past. So it's just a joy to be back here. How many of you know about Kumbh Mela? So there's one happening next week in Prayagraj. But do you also know there's one in Maharashtra that happens? Where does it happen? Okay, very good. So I'm from Nasik. And it was coming from Nasik to COEP, and I stayed in the hostels, F block. Anybody here from F block? Good, good memories. And then moved to E block, and back then Nasik was almost like a village. So coming to a big city and being at this esteemed organization, university, college, I guess back then it was a college, was very overwhelming. I remember that. And anybody heard about the imposter syndrome? So imposter syndrome is you go to a place and you feel like they made a mistake. They were not supposed to accept me, but they accepted me, so I'm just going to hide till nobody figures out that actually I'm not that good. So everybody goes through that anxiety. But I think COP was very welcoming, except the ragging at the beginning of the few weeks, which was allowed. Which was allowed back then. But then it was very welcoming overall, and everybody has been just amazing throughout that journey. How many of you here come from Nasik, by the way? Anybody from Nasik? Wow, it's a good proportion. And madam as well, fantastic. Oh, okay, so just before. Yeah, so I was your replacement, not a good replacement, but I was your replacement. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Um, and so I thought what I would describe today is this new amazing technology called decentralized AI, but also explain that in the context of Kumbh Mela, right? I don't think anybody has heard those two phrases, two words in the same sentence, like Kumbh Mela and AI. That just seems so futuristic. And so in 2014, 2015, which was the previous Kumbh Mela in Nasik, we call it Sihasta, by the way, um, we started working with, our team from MIT started working with the city government, and we convinced them to make this a digital first Kumbh Mela. And that was, great success. And, there were no bichde bhai, there was no epidemics, there were no lives lost, no stampedes. And of course, we don't take the credit for that. I think the city administration takes the credit for that. But we helped in a very small way on how to have a digital understanding in real time for that. So this time we're being more ambitious. It's happening in 2027. And we're saying, this can be an AI first Kumbh Mela, right? And those are like, oh, it's so far out. How many people here use ChatGPT or something along like that? What do you use it for? For homeworks? That's not a good thing. Okay, what do you use it for? Okay, exam time, just preparing for it and so on. Okay, good. And so that was only 2 years ago. So just think about how much more we'll have 2 years from now. So that's the exciting part. So what we're building is a so-called city stack. My colleague Shantanu Bhattacharya came up with this phrase, city stack, and we're going to run it through a decentralized AI mechanism. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what that means. I'm going to also invite my colleague Raj Simon at some point to explain that. And so it's very confusing. So we thought, we are in India, the land of many gods, so I'll invoke the God AI, right? So there's a festival in Nevada called the Burning Man, and about 70,000 people show up, and it's a very colorful festival. And there's a booth that says "Talk to God," okay, old, landline phone, and so you can pick up the phone and talk to God on the other side. How many people will be willing to pick up the phone and talk to God on the other side? Okay, what would you ask in the blue thing? Yes. How to survive? Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. And so, if you're going to Burning Man a few years ago, the voice of God on the other end of the phone line had an Indian accent. So that was me. Okay. So for several days, I talked to people, playing the role of God, and answered their questions. It was, very illuminating. But what was amazing is that within the first 10 or 20 seconds, just like you, many people started expressing their frustration, their annoyances, what's really bothering them, and they're pouring out all their secretive stuff that they would never share with a stranger. And I said, what's so amazing that what's making them so comfortable about sharing everything with me? If I had met them on the street, they wouldn't do that. And so what I realized is that they're looking for some kind of an impartial, honest broker who will listen to their problems and go and solve them with somebody else. And then when I came to MIT, I said, oh, maybe that's what the world needs. We need like a newfangled AI that can be an honest, impartial broker between every aspect of society, between each of us, between organizations, and so on. And that's the kind of the whole reasoning behind a God AI or a decentralized AI. And we already have, a god of traffic, right? What's the god of traffic? Which company sells the god of traffic? Google, right? So the Google Maps is the official god of traffic because they ask all of us to share their GPS location. They analyze the traffic density and then give us back turn-by-turn navigation of how to avoid those problems. So imagine if you had a similar God for every aspect of our life. God for health, God for energy, God for personal relationships, and so on. And the only thing we really have to do is crowdsource all that information, analyze it, and give everybody turn-by-turn navigation. It's as simple as that. So if we solve this problem, I can imagine like 70, 80% of the world's problems will disappear overnight. So I have dedicated my life to work on this one problem of how do we create a God AI that can help everyone. Okay, how do we break it down into an engineering or a technical or research problem? is what I will cover in the next few minutes. Okay, does that sound good? Who's bored so far? Nobody, that's pretty, oh, there's one person. Okay, all right, I need to be careful. All right, so when it comes to Kumbh Mela, on the left is all the things, we have to provide as services, but we think that's what Kumbh Mela is. In reality, housing, transportation, sanitation, transportation, security are all the other issues that emerge because people are going for a snan and mundan and so on, right? So our goal is to make the next Kumbh Mela an experience that better than going to Olympics. That's our ambition. We'll see how far we go. But importantly, how many here wants to do a startup or an entrepreneurial activity? What kind of activity do you want to do? Your hand went up, so go ahead. Right. Okay, so you're passionate about solving a data problem. But the woman in the white shirt, what's your startup about? Sorry? Insecurity. Okay, good. Right? So the important thing about Kumbh Mela, many people don't realize, is the Prayagraj Kumbh is about $10 billion of economic activity in 40 days. And the Nasik Kumbh Mela is about $2 billion of economic activity in about 40 days. Okay? This is a ridiculous amount of economic activity. So we want to create a sandbox for startups and innovators to be there. Right? And then we want to think about billions of AI agents. So imagine, for different folks, it'll be different experience. So, a few months before the Nasik Kumbh Mela, if Sita Devi in Patna, Bihar, she can just pick up the phone saying, "Mujhe to jana hai Nasik Kumbh Mela ke liye, main kya karu?" Okay, she asked this question about 3 months before the Kumbh Mela, and which many of you will ask as well, like, "Oh, we want to go to Nasik. What the hell? What should we do?" And what will happen behind the scenes is that, Sita Devi is 72 years old. She's pre-diabetic. She has mobility issue in terms of walking long distances. So behind the scenes, it figures out which train she should take, which rickshaw she should take, where she can stay. Because she's pre-diabetic, how can her, medical history be transferred in a secure and private manner? Which, clinics will have them. All those things need to happen for her. But then behind the scenes, the administration also says, "Oh, looks like more people are coming from Bihar than they're coming from Kerala. So maybe we should rearrange, the trains we are, creating for Kumbh Mela and so on." So it's kind of a multi-sided solution that you want to create. So we're going through these 4 phases, right? The first phase is AI, things like ChatGPT, things like medical diagnosis, and so on. The next phase is so-called agentic AI. Anybody here heard about agentic AI? Okay, how do you describe it? Excellent, right? So are you building any agentic AIs? But you should, it's very easy to do. You can do it in one afternoon using systems like Crew AI and Together AI and so on. So AI is like one intelligent unit. Agentic AI is like a team of AI that are working with each other within one organization. But the next one is decentralized AI, where you have teams, but they're distributed across different organizations. So they may not be able to talk to each other. They may have trust issues, and so on, right? So it's one thing for a team to be within one company, one organization, like agentic AI. But in decentralized AI, it's multiple AIs that are across different organizations. So you could have an insurance AI, you could have a hospital AI, you can have a clinical AI, you can have a consumer AI, you can have ambulance AI, and so on. And you want all of them to want to talk to each other and provide enough of an incentive. And the level after that is Nanda, which is another God AI, which is networked agents and decentralized AI. Okay, so we'll show you a few examples of these. So there are a few reasons why this is becoming interesting. One is that although you're using ChatGPT from, do you know which company it comes from? ChatGPT, which company does it come from? OpenAI, right? And there's Gemini from Google and so on, which are great, but they're all happening in the cloud, right? They're all happening in big data centers and so on. But a lot of that capability is going to move to your PC, to your phones, to your laptops very quickly in the next 2 to 3 years. So you don't even need an internet connection to use those AIs. So that's HPC, sorry, Edge AI. And the second transformation is that there'll be billions of agents, one for every one of us. And all these agents, our digital twins, will be working on my behalf, right? So if Sita Devi wants to, arrange her trip to Kumbh Mela, all these agents are working on her behalf to solve this problem. It's almost like having 50 different secretaries who are helping you to do different things. Okay? And of course, the interesting thing here is that we'll be using these agents in all kinds of interesting ways. So my daughter is a teenager, and we have arguments all the time. But in the future, her digital twin, her AI agent, and my AI agent will just talk to each other, and they'll have their own fights and discussion and negotiation, and they'll come back to us with some solution, like my agent can convince her saying, as long as you get good grades, you can get ice cream, right? Whatever that negotiation is, so we won't even have to do all the difficult work. Our agents will be working on our behalf, right? Things like that could happen very quickly. So the question is, how are we going to take this forward? So I'm going to show you one example and request Raj to come and talk a little bit about this. You're all set, Raj? Okay. So the scenario here is, there's Tara, who's in central Maharashtra, and she has chest pain, and she has COVID in the past. Her family has some history of cancer, and the doctors in rural Maharashtra just are not able to provide her a good guidance, okay, of what she should do. So imagine if the doctor can go online and say, for 1,000 rupees, for about $10, can you provide me the best solution for Tara? Here are her chest x-rays, here are her radiology pathology labs, this is her family history. What's the best solution for Tara, right? And what the system would do behind the scenes is would create this God's eye view and pull all the information from all over the country, anybody who had chest pain, anybody who had long COVID, train the best machine learning model from it, take the 1,000 rupees and give it to those hospitals and clinics who provided you data, and then create a make my trip kind of an experience where Tara can see, if you want an aggressive treatment, do this. If you want to do a treatment that's slow over time, do this. If you want to go to Nagpur, you can do this. You want to stay in your own village, you can do this. Very much like what Make My Trip would do about overnight trips or direct flights and non-direct flights and so on. So do you think it's possible? How do you think this is possible? And who thinks it's not possible? Anybody? Okay, go ahead. Why was it not possible? Exactly. So privacy of the data is a big issue. Anybody else? Right? Who will train this model? It's going to cost thousands of dollars to train the models and so on. So the reality, without the God's eye view, is that we cannot make this happen. So you can't, because of privacy, you cannot bring the data together. You cannot train the best machine learning models. You cannot, 1,000 rupees is too little money to convince all the hospitals to share their data. And also, how do you create this experience? So I'm going to invite Raj to explain how this works. So this is where the God AI comes in. So you have a global orchestration of decentralized AI. All right, go for it, Raj.
Thanks, Ramesh. It's a pleasure meeting all of you. I'm Raj Simon. I work with Ramesh and teach the Decentralized AI and the MIT AI Venture Studio course. I think this is a great opportunity for two big technology breakthroughs that we have actually had. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about blockchain, right? The whole Web3 that actually happened. So it is essentially about being able to place trust in technology, right? How can you bring distrusted entities or systems to start coming together for value exchange? That was the crux of the Web3 blockchain technology, right? But then distributed entities have to agree to come together, right? So you require a mindset shift for entities to come together in an ecosystem and actually do it, right? If you do it, the smart contract becomes the underpinning aspect. So there are some very good principles and validation that happened in the Web3 space. And now we have some of the concerns that are being raised about centralized AI, right? I mean, we talked about privacy as being one concern. Are there any concerns about how OpenAI and others are actually building the model? Anybody? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, exactly, right? So far, most of the big companies have been providing you with utility value, you give Google your location, in return for which they give you turn-by-turn navigation. As long as the turn-by-turn navigation is useful to you, you will continue to give the location. But if Google uses the data and does something else, do they share that value back with you? No. So as long as it is turn-by-turn, as long as it is GPS locations, it's fine. What if you start sharing your intelligence? Let's say for a particular purpose. How many of you are asking great questions to ChatGPT? How many of you are putting your ideas and asking things? Right? Just imagine the possibility. So therefore, there is also concern that you cannot centralize this aspect because intelligence by design is actually distributed, right? So there are other reasons why decentralized AI is also becoming a lot more prevalent. So if you look at some of the aspects, how do you aggregate? There are clear things that we can learn from Web3 side on in terms of anonymity and others. Now, how do you use verifiability? If a particular node executes a model, how can you trust that that node actually executed the model in a distributed way, right? If I distribute the work to 5 people and ask them to go do it, in a project team, well, the faculty makes sure that those 5 people are there, the 5 people are coming together and doing it. Imagine there is no faculty, the team forms together and comes back, say, hey, 5 of us did this job. How do you know who did what, right? So how do you draw verifiability when something is actually distributed? And more importantly, if you have to make all of these agents to come together, what is the incentive, right? If you orchestrate something, yes, you can say step 1, step 2, step 3, this agent for here, this agent for here, this agent for here, they can come together, right? So it's also going to be important to create incentives for these agents to actually come together, because you're not going to give those steps to your agent. You're just going to describe a problem, right? Or you wish something. And the agent is going to decide, okay, decompose the tasks, I'm going to go. Same example as what Ramesh said, right? I would like to plan something this evening with my family and then meet this. If that's all I say, if imagine everything is being planned as though there was a personal assistant, taking into consideration your preferences, your kids' preferences, who you are meeting, how are you going, how are you traveling, what would you like? If it had to make all of these decisions and work with a number of service providers to stitch together this, imagine the ability for it to actually interact and do it. So it's going to be some exciting possibilities that are going to come with the decentralized AI. Having said that, we also have to weigh the benefits that we're getting against some of the potential risks. And we have seen this in the Web3 world, right? Everybody is familiar with what happened with the ICO, crypto scams that followed with the craze on NFTs and whatnot, right? So there's always going to be those issues. So decentralized will give you faster innovation. You will have much more computation that's possible at the edge. Responsible AI can be created for the very same reason I said that it won't be centralized. No single provider will start deciding how things could be done. You can eliminate the bias. But on the other side, if you allow for algorithmic orchestration, they're always, keep in mind these algorithms are not born out of thin sky, right? They're again based on things and somebody is putting it together. So there is a possibility for collective failure to actually happen, right? So you need very strict governance to be able to do it. And then always this issue is whether you decentralize. As I said, if you distribute decentralize, these are distrusting, disconnected, disinterested, as Ramesh puts it, entities that are coming together, right? So there's always going to be a possibility for somebody to flood the marketplace with millions of bad. Everybody is familiar with what happens in WhatsApp if a bot comes in, right? And it ruins the whole experience for everybody, right? And the same case with social media. So the moment you allow decentralization and distribution, there's always going to be bad actors. So how do you make sure that you can filter through? There's no straight answer. There's a game theory, but these are things that would have to be realized. So I'll quickly touch upon the trends that we are already starting to witness. Ramesh talked about the Tiny AI. I'm sure most of you have read about the NVIDIA's box, right? So already AI PC is becoming a reality. So you will start to see a lot more emphasis on edge. It happened in distributed computing before. It allowed you to do Web 2 technologies, right? Now this will extend to it. And then simple network agents will be able to do a better job than a few smart agents. And that's the whole swarm concept. a number of these things can come together and achieve a chance. That's essentially how humans have developed the capability, right? As you grow, you pick up the capabilities that are needed, right? And then do it. And if you don't have the capability, you ask somebody to help you out. So pretty much along the similar lines is how we will see this to evolve. Obviously, data we spoke about, and there's going to be a lot of real possibility for dimensional AI. This whole ability to disrupt large industries, large incumbents is enormous, because it is simplifying the consumption of technology on one end, and it's making new possibilities by many people coming together and then doing it. So what one Google, one Amazon does, it's quite possible that a few entities can come together and start challenging. So those are going to become more reality. And finally, this is the thing that interestingly we spoke about before this meeting, discoverable AI. Imagine if you are able to create an intelligent me, me, right? A version of you which is as good and as intelligent as you, right? And imagine the possibility with 1 billion of them in India. What is the GDP output that could expect? So if today, if it is a simple email composition, and we will show you one demonstration of what are we talking about as hyperproductivity when you just scratch the surface. If we can empower each and every individual with things that they could possibly have not dreamt about doing, then you pretty much can change the way that, the world is actually today. So I was telling Ramesh that we are blessed with a lot of things in India. There's a lot of smart, intelligent people, diverse skill set. I mean, 1 billion population size. Imagine you could have many experts, many people, and then those who are either by nature or otherwise not interested to do things, but they're capable, they're intelligent. Either they're not interested or they're not able to. Imagine if AI makes it possible for people, whether it's in the creative side, whether it's in the engineering side, whether it's in professional services, whether it's in other services, right? So that's the real exciting part of what's in the cards for us. I think we should probably can do a quick demo, Ramesh. Yeah, probably wrap it up. Yeah.
If you can bring it up. And so, the city stack that we talked about will be very decentralized for Sita Devi, for Sita Devi for travel, for Tara for health, and so on. And as I said, we have a lot of history doing this. So we want all of you to participate, in this effort. Just go to kumbhathon.org, kumbhathon.com, and you can participate. Come to the next build-a-thon, pitch your ideas, and it doesn't matter what your background is. You could be in engineering, you could be in policy, you could be in education, you could be in government. You can all participate. We have a big team. And going back to thinking about, this platform, I think in Western culture you could say like, hey, this is talk to God, like singular. But in the Indian culture, we already have 330 million gods, right? 33 crore gods, for every aspect of our life, for birth, for education, for wealth, for travel. We have one God for every aspect of our life. So I think the ancient wisdom already figured out that even the concept of gods has to be decentralized, right? So we have decentralized gods here, and that's why it kind of works out really well. So I think the sign on the phone booth should really say, talk to gods, the plural. Thank you. All right, so we're going to show you a couple of quick demos to get the concept of the difference between AI and agentic AI and decentralized AI. I'm just going to connect that, right? And we're going to ask. We're going. Testing. Okay. And we're going to ask some of you to actually pitch one of your ideas and see if you can do it in real time. We'll just do a very quick exercise. So how many here, write proposals or write, a thesis proposal for your master's or bachelor's, or write proposals for government grants and things like that? How many people do that? I would imagine all the professors are doing this, all teachers are doing this, right, for national. And it's always a hassle, right? You type it and you're doing the same thing again and again, and you want someone to ideate, and they ask you to write a section about related work and so on, which is important, but still kind of painstaking, and still not getting it right. So Raj is very passionate about democratizing many of these aspects. So he's going to show you a quick one. Do you want to just ask in the room to somebody to pitch?
Yeah, so this is a platform that we have created essentially to ideate and innovate on anything that comes to your mind, any spark, right? There's a structured process that it actually goes through. It also taps into some of the ideation innovation theories and helps you to guide you along the way. And one instance of this is what is used in the MIT class that we talked about over a 13 weeks period. Students actually go through the course in order to create their final idea pitch, right, or a venture pitch. And you will see this entire thing getting compressed in 3 to 4 minutes. So that's the power of acceleration we are talking about. So you can open up and have more people do this. You can ideate on more ideas, right? More people can now collaborate, share. It's just suddenly allow this hyper productivity to run away. So let's SageSpark.ai is the platform, and if you try the light version, which is free for people to play around with, some features may not be available. You will see. So we can start with any idea or anything that you're actually doing.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just take 5 and we'll decide one. Go ahead. Right. So like some kind of a mass thermometer to see if anybody has a high temperature. Okay? Let's go for it. Anybody else? But take one of your recent submissions to, a government program or something like that, or your bachelor's or master's
Somebody
thesis.
there?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Can we create an AI agent who can talk empathetically and will know, will consult us like a psychiatrist? Like, for example, consult us emotionally and we can share some problems, into kind of thing.
Excellent. Like I was doing by being God. Okay, so a mental health agent. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I recently submitted this idea to MSME about a no-code platform which through which we can basically drag and drop components anywhere through an AI. The code will be generated in minutes.
Okay. This is a no-code platform to write code for medium and small businesses.
Yeah,
Okay, that's pretty good. Let's take a couple of more. Yeah, I want some women, and I also want some of the teachers to pitch one. But go ahead.
basically, this is for a farmer. Okay, this is a major farmer.
Right.
He doesn't know English. Okay, and he wanted to know about the climate change and about the various aspects. So basically, he is educating. He is a farmer, and he converts in his language.
Okay. So a system that helps farmer deal with some kind of a climate change issues and how it could change their output, what they should sow, when they should reap, and so on. Okay, that's pretty good. Any of the teachers want to take the bait? Any proposal you wrote recently? I guess money just shows up at COEP, so no need to write proposals. Like me as professor, I had to write proposals almost every month, and so on. Okay, we want at least one or two women. I'm just going to wait. We got some good questions from women before. Yeah, just hold on one second. I'm just going to wait for if there are a couple of women who can.
It doesn't have to be your idea. It can be any idea.
Yeah, it can be any
It can
idea.
be anything.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Absolutely. I can bring prediction, but is there a particular sector you're excited about? Stock market. Wow. That's what college students should be worrying about. That's pretty good. All right. So, go ahead, madam. Go for it. Excellent. So thyroid detection for women that maintains their privacy. Which one do you think is good?
I think this will be.
You want to do that one? All right, let's try it. All right. So a system that creates thyroid detection for women while maintaining their privacy. Is that the right way to describe it? Okay. So we're going to do like a quick version of this, but we'll give you a link to this platform, the free part of it, and you can try it out. And then at 4 o'clock at Bhau Institute, we're doing like a whole session on it. But we'll go through much more on the startup-focused aspect of it. This is just for research and project thesis and so on. Oh, did the
sorry.
VGA go out? Or?
I made a typo. Typo. Let's see if it's.
All right. You want to increase the fonts? I think VGA is going in and out.
No, I can zoom in.
Yeah, but I think your VGA is disconnected.
Oh.
Maybe it's being stretched. So just tell us a little bit more. What do you do with that? Was it a proposal you sent to the government or a grant?
Do you have another connector to the USB-C?
Right. Okay, yes.
Sometimes these things are dependent on that.
Okay. She already did. So what we can do is we can create this one and see if it's any better than what that is. Or it could be worse. We don't know. That's the unpredictability of AI, right? But the key point here to remember is that a typical AI is you can go to like ChatGPT, and if you said, hey, help me think about what you just said, a solution to screen for thyroid while maintaining privacy, it won't give you anything meaningful because clearly it's something you're creating. But if you had multiple agents, okay, you have one agent who goes and searches for all the information about thyroid in women. You have another agent. The second one takes from the first agent and start proposing new random ideas. Most of them will be really bad. A few will be very good. There's a third agent that is a critique of the second agent saying, oh, you gave me 100 ideas, out of which 90 are terrible. These 10 are better. I'm going to rank them from 1 to 10 and go for only the top 3. Okay, so that's the AI agent who's doing the third one. The fourth agent takes those top 3 ideas and start analyzing online and says, okay, for the top 3 ideas, let me see who else has done it. Maybe another university has done it. Maybe there's already a startup that's doing it. Maybe it's too late. But there's some other aspects of it that could be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Back. So essentially, it plays back to make sure that it got the problem right, because input is very critical. So it says intrusiveness, privacy concerns, and accuracy of detection. Is that the core issues? I said yes. And remember, we didn't say anything on the solution, right? It was just the problem that is. So it's already started to a non-intrusive AI-powered detection tech that accurately diagnoses thyroid. How? Diagnostic algorithm, privacy-preserving tech, and wearable tech. So it's already started giving components. And each of this is interactive. You can now say, okay, I don't want this, I can add this. All of that is, you can actually type. For now, I'm just going to proceed. And this kicks off a plethora of agents, but going about doing it in such a way that they can learn from each other as they're actually moving forward, right? So it's going to take a couple of minutes to do it because it's executing quite a few tasks. So one of the things we have also experienced in the class that we actually teach, when we ask the project teams to go through and give these templates to be filled up and others, not very often all the teams do it for reflection. Most of them will do it because it's being asked to be done and the template needs to be completed, right? So you miss the opportunity to reflect, and that's where the mentors in the class or the faculty would have to nudge and, hey, did you look at this? Did you do that, right? Or the mentor or the advisor would have to take up and do the searches, right? Did you do this? Did you search this? Now, all this cognitive load is being taken through here, right? So it's okay. So that's one aspect of how you would want to do advise and guide the students. And the other thing that Ramesh mentioned, right? What are the competitive landscape? Who else has done it in any other part of geography? Has something actually happened? Oh, is it? Okay.
So any questions or comments so far about what's going on? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
yeah, it's an agentic implementation that uses multiple agents and getting information across different organizations. So behind the scenes, it's using standard foundation models. So there's no novelty in terms of foundation models, but it is using the context of many such ideations that have happened of how do you go from a very rough idea to something that's like a more complete thesis that you want to develop. It's using RAG as well, yeah. So everything that you're interacting with, so it's going online and downloading information about thyroid research publications or statistics about thyroid and so on. And it's pulling all that information and behind the scenes creating a retrieval augmented general things. Yeah, go ahead.
You talked about decentralized agents.
Yes,
So how these agents are getting created at the back? I mean, that's a fixed algorithm.
right.
You have like 10 agents, two of them will do this, two of them will do, or that also is being decided by another agent.
Yeah, so right now it's not that sophisticated, but you're asking the right question, which is over time it can get very sophisticated. Over time it could say, hey, you know what? I would like to get some information about this very specific research you're doing in this pharma company. And then your agent can talk to the agent of the pharma company saying, can I really have that information because I'm writing a proposal? And that pharma company agent could say, oh, I can give it to you, but in return, I want to be a co-author on this. Or in return, I want to also get 10% of the grant, or whatever that negotiation is, right? So all those things can happen. It's not in this particular version. So the true decentralization would take you through that mechanism as well, which is what we're doing for the Kumbh Mela, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we take one more question? Or you want to?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
What we are trying to see is it will it be freely available for all, or how is that? How will it work?
Is it free? There is no such thing as free. What is free? What is not free?
So the light version is free for all of us to actually use. The light version is free for people to actually try, but free is always with a caveat, right? So how long? So it also depends on the quality of ideas and others that are being put in. So we would have to moderate at some point of time.
But for now, it's free.
Yeah.
And also, as Raj said, this is a course I teach at MIT, and we're taking like a 13-week course and compressing it in the afternoon from 4 to 6. And there's just a quick teaser to show how it can also be used for, grant proposals and bachelor's thesis and master's thesis and so on. Because a lot of times when I'm working with a student about their thesis project, I feel like I'm saying the same thing again and again. Like, have you gone and see everybody else's research, and have you thought about all the stakeholders, and have you connected all these pieces, and have you divided sub problems and so on. So a lot of those things can be done here. So this might take you like 70-80% of the way, and then they can come and sit with one of the teachers, one of the mentors, and say, okay, now let's refine it. So you at least save the early part of it.
Yeah, I think where the initial validation that we do, there are a number of internet searches that actually happens in the first step. If you see, these are now disabled. The entire analysis of looking at the grand domain and thoroughly understanding the user needs. So a lot of simulation is actually happening and it's trying to capture. Is this really a problem worth solving? Right? What segment should we be looking at? So that takes a little bit of time to do it. And once it has come through that, it suggests you how to frame the idea in a smart way, and then start doing the stakeholder analysis, competition analysis. Divides the problem into a number of problem areas. We're anxiously waiting for this to complete. Oh, there you go, finally. So this is the stakeholder map I talked about. So it has identified women patients, healthcare organizations, tech providers, privacy advocates, regulators. So who is all required as stakeholders in order for something like this to actually succeed, right? And for each stakeholder, what are the current pain points? What is their desired outcome they would like? And what is the value that they're actually getting? And what could be potentially their concerns? And how are you dependent on them? So it's done the stakeholder map. Now it goes to competition. So these are some of the competitions that key offerings are risk stratification, thyroid nodules using, I'm not a medic guy, so hopefully this makes sense. So, and these are few, but obviously you can say, hey, how about this, how about this, how about this? You add these, then it'll start to ingest.
You can say, but my current research, at COEP is this. Can you also include that as part of the discussion?
Yeah.
So it can, it can say, oh, okay, instead of writing a proposal this way, let's write a proposal that builds on your strength.
Yeah.
And so on.
And then starts to break down the problem areas. So the accurate diagnosis is one part of it. Data privacy is the other aspect. User empowerment is other. Integration with wider healthcare. And then it goes to rural accessibility. So these are some of the sub-problem areas, each of which could be turned into a venture, right? I mean, accurate diagnosis itself could be a venture in itself. So you have the opportunity to either club all of this and create your value proposition, or pick one of the areas to actually do it. So
yeah, and it's not limited to a particular technical topic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Professor Birodi are thinking about creating another department or another section. Are you thinking about something along those lines? sorry, AIML, or maybe you're creating a department of bioinformatics. So it's the same thing. And say, hey, I'm thinking of starting a department of bioinformatics. What does it mean? Who will be the stakeholders? What's the competition? What are the sub-problems I should solve? So it's the same structure.
What is the best way of utilization of the resources?
Exactly. Yeah. How do you use your resources, and how do you build on top of the resources you already have? Because if another institute has some other advantages, your advantage may be different than their advantages. The solution for them is different than the solution for you.
Is it just the platforms, or we can see what is the context in which it is being
Oh
implemented?
yeah, yeah. You can examine it pretty well. Yeah, because you can look at the action of every agent. But of course, it's a lot of code. But yeah, if you ask that question, yeah, you can get the.
What are the sources? Where are you tapping from?
With some result internally, but how have you reached there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can pull all that
So we
information.
can talk. I can ask you from where you got this. What is your hypothesis, something like that.
Because you want to be interpretable and have some confidence. It didn't just make it up,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. So sources, attribution, um, you know, reassigning the sources that you would want to, ignoring certain bias. Don't look at research that came out of this. All of that is possible to be given, contextually in a conversation. Um, that's possible. So it is now
Do you,
done.
do you want to scroll down and just
Yeah.
quickly? I think we're almost out of time.
Yeah. So the 5 solution areas and the top stakeholders have been arranged for the value proposition. And from here, you can generate your, as long as you are comfortable by saying, okay, here are the stakeholders I'm going to address, this is the value for them. If you come to this particular stage, then it goes ahead and, creates the thesis.
It's gone. It's in the public domain now. So anybody can write this proposal and get money ahead of you, get the funding ahead of you. Yeah, but it's like saying I'm using PowerPoint, and instead of drawing everything by hand, can I just create those things in PowerPoint? So it still stays on your machine. The same thing here. It stays with you, and then it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. Yeah. So, but right now it's in public domain because you offered to share this. But remember, you only provided one sentence so far, right? Thyroid screening for women while preserving their privacy. So you can go quite far with that.
So it's taken that one statement and completely converted into a proposal or a pitch. So,
No.
One question.
Yes, go ahead.
This particular problem statement collect data from public domain. Now,
Right.
in the COEP's case, COEP wants to open a department. There is
Right.
a lot of data which
Exactly.
you need to collect from COEP.
yes.
Right.
So, where the data is coming from to this model?
Yeah. So those,
That's a brilliant. What's your name again? Remind me.
Rishikesh.
Rishikesh. We spent a lot of time yesterday. Go ahead.
yeah. So that's one of the reasons why
Can you
this.
just repeat the question because?
Sorry, the question was, currently it is picking up the intrinsic knowledge what LLM actually has, which is general purpose knowledge from internet, right? If you're going to contextualize and bring something specific to COEP, whether it's the ecosystem, whether it's the data, whatever data that you actually have, how do we actually bring in? And this is where the 3 levels of such solutions will come in, right? One, you can break this down into small pieces, and you can do this on your LLM directly, Gemini, right? That's one way to do it. The second is what we have done. Both of us have been entrepreneurs. We have, you could call, some amount of wisdom. So we've encapsulated some of those wisdoms and make sure that the guidance can be done, but relying on the intrinsic knowledge of the LLM. Now, to this, if you want to add context, that's when it really becomes the sage, right? So answering both of your question, um, if this platform is implemented within COP, right? You further train everything contextualize, and you further hyper personalize the flow to happen, right? If it is this kind of idea, go and look at this department's work that has been done, or if this kind of solutions you actually need, you could actually hyper contextualize it. What
And
you're
the, and
building
the
is the
dis-
basic block. Now you can start building on top of that.
and the decentralized AI comes in. You can say, hey, you can call 5 friendly institutions who
Yeah.
might have started a new department, saying, can I take all the data that was used to make those decisions,
Yes.
and I'm willing to pay you, a lakh rupees for each of these,
Yeah.
right? And you could have an agent that negotiates on your behalf, saying, hey, you're a big university, I'll pay you 5 lakh. You're a small university, I'll give you 5,000. And if I can get all the information, you don't start from a blank slate.
Yeah.
You already have very detailed,
Yes.
very precise information from 5 other universities on
Yeah.
what they did to do something like this. And this is really kind of democratization of wisdom, because why should you start all over again from scratch
Exactly.
when
Yeah.
somebody else has done it?
Start
That's a great analogy. Yeah, that's a great analogy. You have intranets and internets, but the onus was still on the human operators to like
Connect both.
look up all that information and so on. Excellent. Let's broaden it up. Thank you, Raj.
Thank you.
Um, and so I was thinking I'll just take 5 more minutes for Q&A. Is that good? Who's excited about AI? And who's really scared? All right, all right. So as you can imagine, the difference between an average person and an expert is going to decrease very quickly. It's just as with smartphone cameras, the distinction between a professional photographer and anybody who has access to camera, that distinction has decreased dramatically, right? We don't even carry fancy cameras anymore, right? I mean, these kind of things are almost an anomaly now, right? And the same thing is going to happen with so-called expertise. No matter which expertise there is, whether it's taxation or engineering or a medical doctor or a policy expert, in a few years from now, maybe 3 years from now, there'll be no such thing as an expert. Because whatever they can provide, about 70, 80% of it can be achieved through agentic platforms like this. And soon after that, it might be the other way around. I think most experts will be worse than the AI expert. There will still be a sliver, you know, of experts, but the gap is going to decrease very dramatically, right? So I'm old enough, I'm not worried about it. But people who are still in their 20s and 30s, just think about what profession do you want to be if there's going to be no such thing as an expert. So think about the whole knowledge economy, where we put a lot of emphasis, a lot of glamour to people who have a lot of knowledge and expertise. That's going to get democratized. Go ahead.
I spent 25 years in education,
Right.
1 year senior to you at COEP. Uh, what's your take on students using AIs for doing 90% of their assignments?
Right.
Would you be very happy in such a situation as a professor? And where do you see it going ahead?
Yeah. Um, uh, Professor Joshi, I don't remember if calculators were allowed in our exam. I think they were not allowed. And now they're allowed? Oh, even now they're not allowed. Okay, that's good. Okay, all right. Some things remain the same. Um, um, I think some people are not agreeing with you, though, right? In some places they're allowed. Okay, all right, okay. So, and remind me your name again. Your name?
Atul Gopal,
Atul Gopal. So you are 90 batch?
90 batch.
Okay, all right. And so I think calculus not allowed when we were in college, right? And I think they're allowed at least where I am. And I think the same thing with these tools. I think right now they're going to look very scary, but I think over time, like in my classes, they're allowed, they can do whatever they want. But also means we have to change what we mean by education system, what we mean by learning system, because if that information can be accessed anyway, what's the point in making sure the students know about it by heart, right? The Guhukampatti aspect of it. So there's a particular, but the insights, the procedures, the algorithms, the techniques, the philosophies, those are very critical, and they do require you to kind of very systematically go through that. So critical thinking, problem solving skills, all those things.
It's okay with someone who has had experience using a tool
Right.
versus someone, for example, people who've been using calculators all their lives can hardly do any mental math.
Right.
They will get the number of zeros wrong all the time.
That's right.
But at least people who've not used calculators will at least get the decimal point
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
my worry is if there is a generation of people who've been using AI right from the start,
Right, right.
they have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
And
But I think every generation says thinks the next generation is dumb, right? And they're going to get dumber and dumber. And I think our generation, you know, was worried about making sure you know how to do typewriting and make sure you can do decimal math and so on. And I think the kids today look at us and say, you don't even know how to post and get 1,000 likes? So I think every generation thinks the next generation is going to be a complete disaster because they're not learning any skills. But I think they'll be fine. Let's take somebody new in the back. People in the back, rebel against the people in the front. I used to be a backbencher, by the way, but I was tall, so I didn't want to block people's view. That was my excuse, at least. So always start in the back bench, right, Professor Doshi? Yeah. Anybody in the back? Go for it.
Most of the information which is available on the internet is in restricted form.
Right.
Most of the research papers which are there, you can't access that. So how
Even that behind the paywall, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. How AI can access that, and like how we can trust the information what the research institute has been done.
Yeah. So most of this platform do have the subscription, so they are reading all those papers. So they don't have the restrictions. They're sometimes they go into trouble because, like New York Times just sued OpenAI, saying they're accessing their old newspapers which are behind paywall, and so on. So in a way they're stealing. They're paying like tiny amounts of money, like 200 rupees per month, and reading up all of New York Times, last 100 years, and then effectively copying it, and then training the AI models on top of it. This goes back to what Raj was saying earlier, which is, if you want some, a democratic AI, they can't just be stealing everybody's ideas and providing, a platform like that, right? So they can't just take your, thyroid screening proposal and just use that. The problem is all of us who use ChatGPT and Gemini are uploading our documents for free because we're getting free service in return. But that's all getting used for train their models. So you could have written like a beautiful piece or a beautiful thesis or a beautiful paper, or Professor Birud might upload like some of the most detailed, plans which are very not confidential, but are not accessible to anybody else. But because we want service, we might upload it, but gets used by other people. And data is very valuable. So that's a challenge. Yeah. Should I take one more or two more and we'll stop? Is that good?
What about the accuracy of this model?
Sorry?
Accuracy, output accuracy.
Yeah, that'll continue to improve.
Okay.
And but I think the true innovation is going to come from like a really clever human machine or human AI, symbiotic systems. It's a really good user interface because AI is never going to be right. It's just like if you're working with a collaborator, if you're working with secretary, you're working with anybody, any human being, they're never going to be 100% right. But you figure out how to work best with them. So you don't focus on the 5% of the time they're bad or have errors. You focus on 95% of the time they're doing okay. This one from the back, excellent.
So few days ago, the five-star that is trading on Cadbury brand, they do one campaign. They are creating a fake website. They are providing a fake data. If this is the data, they are making it inconsistent. And all of this AI like ChatGPT, they are train their model using the information available. If the information available is wrong, then how will it affect on like your product or other products together?
Oh, okay. You're saying five-star Cadbury is intentionally creating incorrect ads to fool ChatGPT into training, incorrect things.
Not only ChatGPT, but
Anybody who's trying to steal their ad information. I'm not very familiar. That sounds pretty clever. And it's like when there's a Bollywood movie and they don't want to release, the what's in the climax, where the hero dies or survives. They create a lot of fake stories, and nobody knows which one is real. So the suspense is preserved. So there's some element to that, I guess, but I'm not familiar with it. So, but sounds like a good strategy. Um, so there are systems now, they will use all kinds of clever tricks. Like for example, they'll take, every fifth word, and the first letter of every fifth word will create a hidden message. Okay, and then if that gets used by somebody, then you can like retrieve and figure out if they copied from your database or not. So you can, it's called steganography. You can embed all this hidden information and see if somebody else is replicating. I think Taj Mahal that had the trick, right? Is that right? I think in Taj Mahal they made intentional errors, and because when people copied it, they copied the errors as well. So you know that they copied your material. Is that story correct, roughly? I think I heard something about it. Yeah. Okay, let's take one. Sorry, let's take one final one. We'll stop. Let's take somebody from the back. Otherwise, we'll come to you. All right, go for it. Make it good. It's the last one.
How do you see AI disruptions? We know already in the software industry.
Right.
How it will disrupt other industries like chemistry, manufacturing,
Yeah. So question is, how will AI disrupt other real-world sectors, manufacturing, engineering, health, agriculture, and so on? And I think that's the most exciting part. Like if you just walk down the street in India, it doesn't matter how many chatbots there are and how many summarization tools there are and how many abilities to create new social media platforms are. It's not going to change their lives, right? And I think that's what's exciting about it. So for me and Raj, our program at MIT, we really focus on, we call it the dimensional AI, the three-dimensional world, as opposed to screen AI, just happening on the screen. So, I was talking to, Bharat as well yesterday, and there are amazing innovations that take place in the real world, right? Especially manufacturing, industrial, agriculture, health, and so on. And we really have to figure out a mechanism of how will AI play a role. Now, people seem to be using AI in a interesting way, but still limited way, like for diagnostics or maintenance or screening and so on. But actually, AI can play a role all the way. So the example I showed you for Sita Devi and Tara is that it's playing a role all the way from the moment she has chest pain to the moment the machine learning gets trained, to the moment that data is purchased from other hospitals, to the moment she has a make my trip kind of experience. So we have to start thinking about the whole end-to-end aspect of AI, and that's going to create many more jobs. I mean, right now we're just talking about AI that mostly stays on the screen. It's not going to disrupt, a coolie's job or a farmer's job. But Dr. Mashilkar says it really well. He says, a farmer is a knowledge worker. A labor is a knowledge worker. So you can't make a distinction between somebody who does, physical work and whether they're knowledge worker or not. I think we're going to see this fusion quite a bit. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of disruption, more disruption in the knowledge economy first, and a little bit later in the physical world. But I mean, maybe barbers are at the end, right? I mean, I'm not going to allow a robotic AI to cut my hair. So I think it's going to take some time, especially if they have a sharp knife and a sharp scissor. So I don't think I'm going to trust a surgeon or a barber. That could take some time. But many other things like, industrial automation, construction, agriculture, where it's okay to have 1% error, 2% error, could get disrupted very quickly. There's a company in Florida that builds furniture, and there is no employees in that building. Okay, it's completely roboticized. You upload your plans, and this massive robots, like 3 times the size of this room, are effectively not printing but constructing furniture. So those are very disruptive, as you can imagine. So I think robotics will and the physical will take a little bit longer, but not that much longer. Maybe not in the next 3 years, but definitely in the next 10 years. We'll see massive disruptions. And that makes it confusing, right? I'm a professor, we are at an education institution. What does it mean to get a degree in particular field? What does it even mean to teach our students particular skills when we have all this disruption coming along, right? So it is scary. I have a book coming out on what you should do, but I think the book is going to be obsolete in 1 year because I cannot see 10 years ahead. So I'm like, this is what I think they should do today. So the 3 skills I suggest, I have 2 young daughters, and the 3 skills I suggest today. How many people here have kids? Okay, I guess the front row people. And anybody here wants to share what they tell their kids in the age of AI, what they're going to do? What do you tell them? Give up and just watch TV? What do you tell them? So I tell them critical thinking, uh, yeah, and problem solving. And the third, which is most important, is understanding relations. So in terms of games, I used to be really good at chess. And I think one of the good things about chess is that it's not just you're smart, but you also have skills about thinking about what the other person will do, right? So you say, I will move this, and then they will do that, and if you do this, I'll do this. And if you're really smart, you can think 10 steps ahead, and that's like exponentially large search space. But that really teaches you, kind of critical thinking. And then in terms of relations, what I encourage my kids to do is if they watch a movie, which I hate that they watch a movie and wasting their time, but if they watch a movie, then I want them to come home and draw relationship between all the characters. How it was in the first half of the movie and how it was in the second half of the movie. In the first half, as you know, the villain is going to be very friendly, and you can't know what's going on. But in the second half, one of the friend actually turns out to be the bad person, right? And so what's all the relationship that's between different characters? Is it? So there are a few things we can teach our children and students to do, but I think what you do at the engineering school when they're already 17, 18, 19 years old, it's very confusing to me, to be honest. And how many here are in that age group? Like 18 to 25, right? Okay, more hands went up. Okay. So does it bother you that a lot of these things will be available, out of the box, and what you would do? Who's bothered? Who's concerned? Most of you are not concerned. That's a good thing. All right. So let's end on a positive note then. There's nothing to worry about, and AI will come, and we will make sure we hit them for sixers. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Raskar. I would like to thank Mr. Raj too. Now I would like to call Mr. Bharat Gite to share his thoughts.
Good afternoon. I'm not here to share any thoughts, but I would like to thanks Professor Ramesh Raskar for being here and spreading the wisdom what you have learned from COEP as well as at the MIT campus. I would like to thank all the members at Alumni Association for organizing this event. Professor Attar from the computer engineering, ENTC department, because this is one of the greatest event I have seen in last few months. I can see your professors who are retired. Professor Joshi is also here. A lot of good gathering is here. Your classmates, maybe one batch earlier, one, two batch later. A lot of people attended this event. It is your magnet who has attracted such a good audience, good discussion. I hope students, they have learned few good things from you, from your colleague Raj. So thank you very much. I'm not coming from a branch like ENTC or computer. So I'm from metallurgy, but still I can tell you, we also use a lot of digitalization in our factory, right from the aluminum melting. Once we get the component, we have a data matrix, so each and every process will be tracked. In the machine shop, we have machine learning things where we measure the efficiency and all these things. So today's world, you guys are becoming more intelligent, enhancing your intelligence level by the AI. So I hope our core branches, they will also have some things to do with the machine learning, and they can also do a lot of digitalization. Last couple of days, we were also together at the Global Entrepreneur Conclave, and I have seen you being part of MIT at such a great position. You are also a great human being. We could meet each other at few events in US also. Giving back to your alma mater is something which is very passionate thing of very few people, and you are one of them. We always say December and January is like a wisdom month for us, because last month we had Dr. Hiremat, who is a president of ASME, American uh, Society of Mechanical Engineering. This month we have you. I'm also happy, since we took the office, we always tried to find and search for the pearls who are gone deep in the ocean, and we were the uh, first year of our association. When we took the office, we actually selected you as an outstanding alumni, and the attraction started coming more towards your alma mater. Of course, it is always there, but there should be some connect. And I always keep hearing there is some disconnect, or USA, American people, they are saying we can't get into the touch with the association in Pune. But I can tell you that it is not the association of any selected bunch of people. Some of my members are also available here. We have got Dhananjay Satare, who worked with the IIT Foundation. Now he is full-time working with us for the limited period of 1 year to see how he can help us to get more funds, more, let's say, the people coming back to the alma mater. So this thing, you can also try to spread more and try to bring more people like you back to the campus to give some knowledge to our faculty as well as to our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thanks once again to Mr. Professor Raskar for your thought-provoking and enriching session. Your insights into AI and decentralized AI have provided us with a deeper understanding of the potential challenges and ethical consideration of the rapidly evolving technology. We especially appreciate your balanced perspective in separating the hype from the hope of AI and how work on AI and imaging the health and sustainability continues to inspire us all. Your extraordinary journey from your roots at COEP to becoming a global leader in AI and imaging serves as a true inspiration for all of us here. Your groundbreaking innovations and research not only impact the fields of computer vision, health tech, and sensors, but also offer solutions for a more sustainable and equitable future. On behalf of the entire COEP community, I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to you for sharing your knowledge and experiences with us. We hope this session sparks many new ideas and discussions among us, and we look forward to seeing the continued impact of your work on the world. Let's once again thank Professor Ramesh Raskar for his incredible insights today. But before we conclude the session, let us all rise at honor of our nation by singing the national anthem. I request everyone to stand at their place. भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा राविड उत्कल बंग विंद हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंग तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे आए तव जय गाता जन गण मंगल गायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय. Thank you, everyone.
तिथली केबल कुणी काढली यांनी काढली तुम्ही केबल काढली पिवळी केबल लावताना ती केबल काढली अहो मला नाही ते साऊंड ह्याचं पण झालं आपण तिथं कोण गेलं तर माझा संबंध नाही यांचं आपण सगळं करून गेलो मी पाहिलं पहिली पुढे लावली होती ना कोण होतं तेव्हा